What do you want, Colonel?
We need you back, Zygarde.
You know I retired to get away from that life.
One more mission, Ziggy. A cyberpunk battle royale game has just been spotted in the App Store.
Damn. I'm on my way.
Once more, the App Store releases another banger, Cyber Hunter. So apparently this game dropped earlier in April, some type of weird invite-only beta, and then they released it globally 2 days ago, I think. But you couldn't do anything until the servers opened up today. Like, you could download the game and make your character, but you couldn't log in or change any of the settings or look around, or you definitely couldn't play in a match. Anyway, what is Cyber Hunter? Why am I so excited? Well, it's a cyberpunk battle royale game. If you've ever played PUBG, this will look immediately recognizable to you. On the whole, it's essentially like PUBG Mobile with a sprinkling of Fortnite in there for some good measure. Key differences: this game has a sort of building material called quantum core energy, and you can use that energy on one of 3 skills that you select and bring into a match with you. The default ones that you get: you can spawn a motorcycle, you can spawn like sort of a wall right in front of you that absorbs damage, and you can create a bush to hide in. Later on, you'll, well, with every level, I think you unlock more skills, and some of the later skills you get are, well, the next level, level 2, you get essentially like a healing totem. If you or your team are near it, it'll heal them. There's a watchtower, essentially like a guard tower, and you create that and you just spawn at the top of that watchtower. You can get camouflage, you can get a rocket flight backpack. There's a lot of cool stuff that building material applies, but there's no sort of building wood planks or tearing down the environment to gather energy, or like building your own stuff and having to race against the other opponent. It's not like that. There's a lot of verticality in this game. The jump button, if you use it next to objects, you'll sort of vault over them. Like waist-high objects, you'll sort of just vault over them. But if you use it on a wall, you'll start climbing that wall like Spider-Man, and you just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. There's a drop button, but you can move up, down, left, and right. Just guide your character up this wall, and once you get to the top, they'll do a little flip and land on the roof of that building. If you jump off of a building or something that has enough space, midway through the jump, you can press the jump button a second time, and you'll just start gliding, and you glide pretty fast. So this really just allows you to move around the map quickly. It has a lot more verticality than PUBG, definitely. There's also the inclusion of auto fire. Now, you can make the argument that, okay, everyone's auto firing, there's no skill involved, you just point your crosshair at somebody and you just both start shooting. That's not interesting. I actually think it makes the game a lot better. You don't have to spend all that time and energy and trying to learn how to play the game properly and hold your phone in this weird claw grip to just pick it up and start going. Your very first match, even if you play against bots or other players, your very first match, run around, pick up an item. As long as you can aim at another player, you can start shooting at them, and that makes it a lot more fun to just pick up and play. In addition to that, there's dodge rolling, the verticality that I mentioned, the ability to quickly create cover and different items. There's a lot going on, and I like the addition of an auto fire mechanic. There's no prone in this game, so you're never going to end up in a situation where people are like proned in tall grass in the final circle and just slowly inching their way towards each other. There's also no smoke grenades. And there's not really a lot of foliage on the ground. There's, different trees and bushes and things like that. But the way the game plays is much more fluid, and I hate to keep using the same term, but it is more dynamic than PUBG. It's a little more freeform, a little more fast-paced. The time to kill is basically the same, I think. But the game it's less stressful. It's a little more fun, at least to me. I'm able to just pick it up and start going and really enjoy my time with it without being super stressed out like I am with PUBG. There's also no leaning. PUBG has leaning that you can turn on. There's none of that in this game. Quantum core energy, you just pick that up randomly throughout the world. It's a drop. Players can pick it up. You can pick it up from their corpses, but you'll just find it lying around. And you'll stockpile that, and again, you can use that on your 3 different skills. Each of the skills costs more based on what it does, but you find a lot of this material throughout the map. It's never really been an issue for me to constantly spawn a motorcycle and just make it into the circle or some other stuff. Now, speaking of the motorcycle, there's land and sea vehicles. There's like one boat and there's a couple vehicles and then a motorcycle. Being able to just create a motorcycle and go completely changes the pace of the game. You're no longer just running to get into the circle. You can really just relocate whenever you want. It makes coordinating your team a lot easier. It makes, people who just dive and jump off the plane and go in their own different directions, it makes it easier to try and regroup with them and relocate. This is super smart, I think. And talking about the equipment and items you can pick up, the weapons are similar to most battle royales. You got your SMGs, your assault rifles, your sniper rifles. There's some heavy weapons in there. There's no pistols in this game. The heavy weapons that I found are like sort of grenade launcher-y type weapons. There's probably more. I might have not picked up every one of them. The weapons only have a few attachment slots. Each weapon has a magazine upgrade that you can slot in. There's only one magazine upgrade. And each weapon also has a weapon core that you can slot in. Each weapon core does a unique effect based on the weapon. So this particular SMG, if you slot in a weapon core to it, might deal increased damage to vehicles and those like barrier walls that I was talking about. Another sniper rifle, if you put the core into that sniper rifle, it will deal increased headshot damage or act as like a silencer to it. Each weapon has a unique skill that core slots into it. And certain weapons, the rifles and sniper rifles, have slots for scopes, red dots, 2x, 4x, and then a 8x, I believe, are the 4 different types of scopes available. The weapons have a nomenclature attached to them, basic or advanced, but it's not a numerical thing. It's not like the advanced rifle deals more damage. It's just the weapon core ability. And like, for instance, okay, this weapon is suited for beginners. It's an auto fire weapon and the weapon core increases the reload speed of it. Like just an all around good basic weapon. Whereas this one, maybe the weapon core increases the headshot damage like I mentioned earlier, and it's a semi-auto rifle. Like, okay, you're gonna need to actually know how to play a little bit and aim properly in order to actually use that weapon. But it's not like a numerical advantage. This one deals just more damage than the other one. You start off with basically a level 3 backpack that can hold 450 items. Because there's no smoke grenades, because there's not a lot of weapon attachments, I don't even think I've come anywhere close to maxing out my backpack like I regularly did in PUBG. You got a head slot to protect your head, a chest slot to protect your body, an arm slot that increases your climbing and gliding speed, and a leg slot that increases your swimming speed. There's no sort of airstrike red zone. There are airdrops, and with the airdrops, again, being able to just create a motorcycle and go makes those a lot more contested than they otherwise would be. It makes it so that everyone can get there. Everyone can get into the circle on time. It's not like you're picking people off running in there. There's dodge rolling. It's based on a sort of stamina meter. And the character creation is actually insane. There's a lot of customization in the character creation. There's only 2 different types of character, like base characters to pick from, but the face, eyebrows, nose shape, eye shape, colors, all that stuff, there's a lot of customization in there. It's pretty cool. Basic gameplay modes, solo, duos, 4 players, tutorials, and bots. Now, one thing I want to mention with the bots is I'm not sure if the game autofills bots if you don't pick the versus bots mode. The reason I think that is because not every match is 100 players. So, and some of them have been as low as like 89. So, I don't think the game is autofilling if you fight, player versus player. I don't think it's autofilling those extra slots with bots. In addition to that, there's the completely separate, hey, I want to fight bots, and they have different difficulty levels for those, which leads me to kind of infer that maybe they're not autofilling like PUBG Mobile does with bots. So, if you're playing player versus player, rest assured you're going to be playing player versus player. In my opinion, that's what I think it is. The game has quite a lot of customization options. You can completely change the UI. You can change up what items get picked up. You can change the scope, sensitivity. You can ton of different customization options. Graphically, I would recommend turning this game down to smooth. Now, I really like this game. Again, I think it comes down to the difference in play style and the focus on movement abilities, and just something about it is a little more approachable, a little more fast-paced, a little more fluid than PUBG. It's less stressful. There's less kind of almost a horror element to PUBG where you're unless you're godlike and you're just running around like murdering fools. If you're kind of waiting in a building or holding an angle, there's a lot of waiting and tension that gets built up in there, and the firefights are super quick and brutal. This game doesn't have that same kind of motif. You're flying around, you're gliding, you're creating motorcycles and going off of sick-ass jumps. There's not a lot of minutia to the game. Now, over time, of course, they're probably going to add more stuff, but as it stands right now, it just seems more fun to me than PUBG was when I first started playing that. To talk about the monetization real quick, this is the kind of monetization I like. There's no gameplay elements that you can purchase with money. There's no unique weapons. There's no weapon upgrades. There's nothing like that. It's all cosmetic. This is the type of monetization I like and enjoy. Let me play the game as much as I want. Don't penalize me with ads that make me wait between levels, or hey, you've used up your stamina for today, you can't do anything unless you pay us. That drives me up the wall that is a thing. Pay to not play our game. It's so backwards in my head. This game, I believe, is going to have some sort of battle pass. It looks like it's going to when season 2 starts. Again, the game was released in a closed beta earlier in April, and they had season 1 back then. So I have to imagine they're going to have some sort of battle pass type thing like PUBG does. But yeah, there customization, cosmetic items that you can purchase, but no sort of power that you can purchase with it. I really like this game. Again, I think the overall feel of it is more fun, more fluid, more dynamic, brighter, enjoyable. It just sets a weird different tone than PUBG. Whereas PUBG, sometimes I'll find myself I don't want to deal with that right now. This game has been super fun. I highly recommend you check it out. Cyber Hunter. It's on App Store and Google Play.